Have you ever wondered what happens to a celebrity's mansion once the spotlight fades? We're not just talking about silent rumors or hush-hush real estate deals. We mean the kind of jaw-dropping changes that can erase a home's entire history.
Now, the once gorgeous mansion in the Hollywood Hills, but today it is completely covered in graffiti. Squatters have taken over this abandoned property.
In the glitzy realm of Hollywood, nothing is ever as it seems, especially not the grand estates once inhabited by some of the most iconic stars on the planet. These lavish residences held secrets that only their walls could whisper. Yet one by one, many of these legendary homes have been gutted, redesigned, or demolished altogether, erasing a piece of history in the process. But that's not the whole story. You're about to see how some once cherished landmarks ended up in rubble while others narrowly dodged the wrecking ball. Let's begin by stepping inside the pastel fantasy world of a legendary 1950s bombshell, whose pink-themed home stole headlines and hearts before meeting an unexpected fate. At number 1, we have Jayne Mansfield's Pink Palace.
And also the new J. Arthur Rank film, A Town Like Alice.
Back in the 1950s, if anyone embodied the fun, flirty, and over-the-top glamour of Hollywood, it was Jayne Mansfield. In 1957, at just 24 years old, she bought a Mediterranean-style mansion in the upscale hills of Los Angeles. That alone turned heads. She was one of the industry's youngest rising stars, after all. But no one was prepared for what she did next. With a dramatic flourish, Mansfield transformed her home into the infamous Pink Palace, where everything from the walls to the carpets was bathed in different shades of pink. Visitors recall feeling as though they had stumbled into a cotton-candy dream or a mischievous fantasy land, because Mansfield didn't stop at pink paint. Rumor has it, she even had pink fur rugs in her bathrooms and pink heart-shaped bathtubs, turning every corner of the house into a conversation piece. One highlight? A heart-shaped swimming pool etched with the loving words, "I love you, Janie." It was a gift from her then-husband, Mickey Hargitay, a former Mr. Universe. The couple's star-studded parties there became legendary, with local gossip columns brimming with tales of late-night gatherings, champagne that, allegedly, flowed from pink-tinted fountains, and dance floors echoing with top hits of the era. But for all its glamour, the Pink Palace also saw the darker side of Mansfield's personal life. Her marriage to Hargitay reportedly suffered under the pressures of her booming career. By 1964, the couple had parted ways. Still, Mansfield, ever the star, refused to let her iconic home slip from her grasp. She continued to host outrageous Hollywood get-togethers, drawing in tabloids eager to catch a glimpse of her rumored new flings or over-the-top interior design changes. Sadly, her story took a tragic turn in 1967 when she died in a car accident at just 34 years old. The Pink Palace changed hands multiple times after her passing, most famously landing in the possession of singer Engelbert Humperdinck, who preserved its flamboyant design for decades. Fans breathed a sigh of relief each time the estate avoided major alteration, until 2002, when developers bought it and decided that this piece of Hollywood's golden age had to go. The entire structure was reduced to rubble, making way for a modern home that bore no trace of its bubblegum-hued predecessor. This demolition sparked a wave of uproar, with fans decrying the loss of a cultural landmark. Whether you saw it as kitsch or classic, the Pink Palace represented a moment in history when Hollywood dreams ran wild. It was a place of flamboyant parties, heartbreak, and endless imagination. Yet in a city constantly reinventing itself, even the most vibrant relics are never truly safe. The Pink Palace's fate served as a stark reminder. Once a star's glow fades, the things they leave behind may vanish just as fast. But that wasn't the only cherished estate that felt the sting of transformation. Next, we have Dino De Laurentius's The Knoll.
The career of the legend we honor here tonight with the Thalberg Memorial Award has lasted 60 years so far. His name is Dino De Laurentiis. His legend lives as film's most influential independent producer.
Few figures loomed as large in the film industry as Dino De Laurentiis. Renowned for producing cinematic sensations like Barbarella and Serpico, he was a force of nature, both on screen and off. In the 1960s, he planted his roots in Beverly Hills by purchasing a grand estate known as The Knoll. Nestled high on a hilltop, The Knoll offered sweeping views of the glittering Los Angeles skyline, a vantage point worthy of a Hollywood titan. Originally built in the 1930s, the mansion's Georgian-style architecture evoked old-world elegance, complete with a long, winding driveway that heightened its air of exclusivity. The interior boasted opulent rooms perfect for lavish gatherings. De Laurentiis reportedly hosted influential directors, actors, and financiers to discuss upcoming projects. Industry whispers suggested that some of Hollywood's most game-changing deals were hammered out within these luxurious walls, fueled by the producer's boundless ambition. Despite its historical significance and classic good looks, The Knoll changed hands multiple times after De Laurentiis left it. In 1989, businessman Marvin Davis acquired the property and made a decision that stunned architectural devotees. He demolished the original Georgian mansion. After flattening what many believed to be a Beverly Hills landmark, Davis built a sprawling new structure in its place, a modern behemoth with significantly more square footage, up-to-date amenities, and an entirely different architectural style. This move drew a wave of criticism from historians, fans of De Laurentiis, and even casual admirers of classic LA architecture. While some argued that the new building was an upgrade, larger, sleeker, more suited to modern tastes, others mourned the loss of a genuine piece of Hollywood story. Yet again, the city's unstoppable march toward reinvention showed that no property, no matter how storied, was immune to the demands of the present. Yet another famous Hollywood property faced an even more dramatic showdown. Next, we got Bob Hope's Toluca Lake estate switch gears to the world of Bob Hope.
Hey, you know, Don Rickles thinks that he invented the insult, but I've been getting insulted since my earliest days in show business, and I have the reviews to prove it.
Whose name was synonymous with classic American entertainment. In 1939, he purchased a massive property in Toluca Lake, Los Angeles, a setting worlds apart from Jane Mansfield's pink-splashed Wonderland. Whereas Mansfield opted for eye-catching flamboyance, Hope's style was discreet, focusing on comfort, charity events, and refined living. Sprawling across 5 acres, the main house was approximately 15,000 square feet. An English, traditional-style mansion featuring 6 bedrooms and immaculate landscaping. Yet, the real showstopper wasn't the building, but the private golf course, a reflection of Hope's deep love for the sport. If you were on his invite list, you might spend the afternoon playing a few holes, then retire to the pool or lounge in one of the well-appointed guest houses. These gatherings often blurred the lines between fun and philanthropy, as Hope was known for hosting countless charity events at his estate. Everything about the property radiated a sense of belonging, a place where A-list entertainers felt at home, but also where the broader community could come together for a good cause. Hope lived there with his wife, Dolores, and their 4 adopted children for over 6 decades. He continued entertaining fellow luminaries, Bing Crosby, Frank Sinatra, and many more, sharing laughs, rounds of golf, and philanthropic visions. Hope's comedic genius and unwavering dedication to U.S. troops made him a beloved national figure. But at the Toluca Lake Estate, he was simply a family man who found joy on a personal putting green. When Bob Hope passed away in 2003, he was 100 years old. Dolores remained until her own passing in 2011 at age 102. By then, the estate's size and prime location made it a magnet for developers. In 2013, it sold to investor Ron Burkle for about $15 million, less than expected for such a unique piece of real estate history. Soon after, the property was subdivided with portions carved into smaller lots to build modern homes. The main residence, thankfully, was spared from total destruction. But the transformation of the sprawling estate into multiple parcels signaled a shift. Grand old Hollywood homes, once revered, were increasingly perceived as blank canvases for modern wealth. In a city where land is at a premium, even the property of a legendary comedian didn't escape the bulldozers entirely. Fans and historians may rejoice that the main house still stands, but the rolling acres once roamed by Bob Hope and his famous friends have largely been absorbed by the city's relentless expansion. Even one of America's most beloved TV icons couldn't escape this trend. Next up, Lucille Ball's Beverly Hills, home.
Like an awful lot of fun, doesn't it?
Yeah. Wait a minute here. There is something here that needs explaining.
In the pantheon of television legends, Lucille Ball stands near the top. She and her husband, Desi Arnaz, became entertainment royalty through their groundbreaking sitcom, I Love Lucy. Throughout the 1950s, they enjoyed dizzying success and needed a comfortable yet sophisticated retreat where they could raise their children away from prying eyes. They found it in a ranch-style home at 1000 North Roxbury Drive in Beverly Hills. Compared to the lavish, opulent mansions of her peers, Ball's residence was unassuming and homey. Still, it featured all the essentials of Beverly Hills luxury: a swimming pool, lush gardens, and enough space to entertain the many famous guests who dropped by. Neighborhood chatter abounded about how generous and friendly Lucille was. Fans reported stories of her engaging with neighbors, inviting them over for casual gatherings. This unpretentious vibe contrasted sharply with the comedic chaos viewers saw on TV, revealing a star who valued normalcy in an extraordinary world. Following Lucy and Desi's divorce in 1960, Ball kept the home as her personal sanctuary. She remained active in show business, producing and starring in new programs like The Lucy Show and Here's Lucy. Yet, behind the scenes, that Roxbury Drive house was her place of stability in a rapidly evolving industry. In 2011, heartbreak struck fans when the property's new owners opted to demolish the original structure. Preservationists pleaded for a chance to turn it into a historical landmark, pointing out how essential Lucille Ball had been to the growth of television and comedic entertainment. Nevertheless, progress marched on, and the home was razed to make way for another modern residence. The memory of Lucy's laughter, family time, and gatherings with dear friends vanished in a cloud of dust and wrecking balls. But Lucille Ball's enduring influence on comedy wouldn't be deterred by the destruction of her old home. If anything, it emphasized the fleeting nature of tangible relics in a town obsessed with reinvention. Love for Lucy remains unshakable, even if the physical walls that once sheltered her iconic career do not. Meanwhile, another Rat Pack superstar faced his own crossroads with real estate. Another one on the list is Kurt Cobain and Courtney Love's Hollywood Hills bungalow. By the early 1990s, rock music had transformed from glitzy hairbands to the gritty, alternative sound of grunge. At the forefront of this revolution was Kurt Cobain, Nirvana's frontman, and his wife, Courtney Love, of the band Hole. Although Seattle served as grunge's main breeding ground, at one point, Cobain and Love briefly resided in a modest Hollywood Hills bungalow, a place far removed from the iconic mansions of yesteryear. Cobain, famously uncomfortable with widespread fame, seemed to choose this hidden location to retreat from the media frenzy. Reports describe it as an unassuming, rustic home tucked away among tall trees. Privacy was key, which made sense for a couple living under intense public scrutiny. Instead of dramatic neon lights or massive glittering pools, the property offered a hushed sanctuary. Just 2 bedrooms, a cozy living room, and a makeshift recording space for Cobain's creative spark. Friends who visited commented on the calm vibe, though rumors also persist that the reclusive environment fed Cobain's growing unease with stardom. After Cobain tragically offed himself in 1994, sending shockwaves through the music world, Courtney Love abandoned the house, leaving it to fall into disrepair. Neighbors occasionally claimed to see broken windows and piles of old debris piling up, a chilling reminder of what might have been had Cobain found peace. For years, the property sat in limbo until it was eventually sold and renovated. Today, it looks radically different, with a fresh coat of paint and updated interiors that might surprise fans seeking traces of the iconic musician's past. Yet, many devotees still consider it a haunting relic, a silent witness to Cobain's final months in Los Angeles and the complexities of his personal life. While the structure survived, it's a far cry from the modest retreat that once sheltered the tortured spirit behind Nirvana's biggest hits. Now, let's look at another member of the Rat Pack whose home suffered a different fate. Estate few stars carried the mystique of Frank Sinatra. His magnetism, voice, and acting prowess made him a household name. And like many celebrities of his era, he found solace in Palm Springs. In 1947, Sinatra commissioned architect E. Stewart Williams to design a modern abode that would set tongues wagging. The result was the Twin Palms estate, named after the 2 palm trees gracing its property line. This home embodied the cool lines and open spaces of mid-century modern architecture. Floor-to-ceiling windows showcased the desert landscape, while seamless indoor-outdoor living meant Sinatra could throw a poolside party on a moment's notice. Rumor has it, the silhouette of the swimming pool was shaped like a piano, adding a whimsical nod to the singer's greatest passion. Inside, everything from the acoustics to the layout favored music, with certain rooms specifically designed for private jam sessions. Talk about the perfect setting for an impromptu performance of Fly Me to the Moon. Hollywood heavyweights often gathered here, including Sinatra's close friends Ava Gardner, Dean Martin, and Marilyn Monroe. Some nights, the hush of the desert was broken by the clink of cocktail glasses and the smooth ring of Sinatra's vocals drifting across the water. Yet, it wasn't all romance under the stars. Rumors swirl about fiery arguments between Sinatra and Ava Gardner, a pair whose passion reportedly led to shattered champagne glasses and furious exit scenes. By the 1950s, Sinatra had moved on from Twin Palms, and subsequent owners lacked the resources or interest to keep it up to date. Over time, it slipped into a state of disrepair. Fortunately, a couple recognized its historical and architectural value in the 1990s and embarked on a painstaking restoration effort, preserving Sinatra's original design elements while upgrading essential features. Now, Twin Palms stands not as a relic, but as a living testament to a musical legend used for private events, tours, and glamorous parties reminiscent of its heyday. In an unusual twist for Hollywood properties, this one didn't face the wrecking ball. Instead, it got a second life, proof that some parts of Golden Age Tinseltown can be rescued from obscurity. But not every star was so lucky, especially when rock and roll entered the picture. Last but not least, this is one of the most incredible stories in Hollywood back then. It is Dean Martin's Trousdale Estates home. If Frank Sinatra was the magnetic center of the Rat Pack, Dean Martin was its laid-back crooner, famous for a voice as smooth as top-shelf whiskey. In the 1980s, Martin lived in a sleek, mid-century modern house in the exclusive Trousdale Estates area of Beverly Hills. While the property was far from the overblown scale of some LA compounds, it dripped with sophistication and boasted million-dollar views of the city below. Trousdale Estates had long been a haven for Hollywood's elite, cherished for its privacy and jaw-dropping panoramas. Martin's home was built on the principle of indoor-outdoor living, featuring open floor plans, giant sliding glass doors, and a swimming pool that seemed to float above the city lights. Friends and family recall evenings when Martin would gather them around the piano, spontaneously serenading guests with well-loved tunes. Occasionally, Sinatra or Sammy Davis Jr. would swing by unannounced, leading to star-studded jam sessions that could rival any concert hall. In time, the house changed hands, and by the early 2000s, it was demolished in favor of a larger, more modern mansion. This shift was symptomatic of a broader trend in Trousdale Estates. Some new homeowners saw the classic mid-century designs as outdated, opting to replace them with sprawling contemporary structures. Preservationists sounded alarms, cautioning that the entire mid-century architectural heritage of Beverly Hills was at risk. The loss of Martin's abode felt particularly stinging for fans who equated his name with the golden era of Hollywood. That era thrived on sophisticated style, camaraderie, and genuine talent. With each home that falls to the bulldozers, a piece of that legacy disappears. Yet, ironically, the memory of Dean Martin's easy charm lives on in his music, his television performances, and in the numerous stories of his open-door policy for Rat Pack cronies. From Jane Mansfield's outlandish pink palace to Dean Martin's cool mid-century haven, these demolished or drastically altered estates remind us of how impermanent physical landmarks really are, especially in a place like Hollywood, where reinvention is the name of the game. Each property served as a backdrop for personal triumphs, controversies, romances and heartbreaks that shape not just a single celebrity story, but the entire fabric of American entertainment. For all the talk of stardom, it's amazing how quickly a once glamorous mansion can vanish. Developers move in, new owners crave the latest architectural trends, and soon, only photos or fuzzy recollections remain. Preservationists may fight to keep these homes intact, arguing they're irreplaceable pieces of our cultural tapestry, while others see them as outdated structures standing in the way of modern, more profitable ventures. So, is there a chance we'll ever value these relics from Hollywood's past the way we admire centuries-old castles in Europe? Or will the city's relentless push toward newness ensure that each generation erases another layer of old Tinseltown? It's a tug of war between honoring nostalgia and satisfying the modern appetite for luxury, often decided by whoever has the deepest pockets. But perhaps the greatest takeaway is that no home, no matter how iconic, is immune to the forces of progress and profit. One day, a mansion might be the pulsing center of Hollywood's most spectacular parties, full of borrowed jewels and swirling champagne. The next, it could be a bare plot of land awaiting a new foundation, its glamorous history literally swept away. For fans worldwide, the disappearance of these properties may spark sorrow or outrage, but it also underscores a universal truth. Legends live on, even when the physical evidence of their existence crumbles into dust. Who's to say what the future holds for the remaining relics of Hollywood's golden age? If the stories of these lost mansions are any indication, it's best to appreciate them while they're still standing, because in the city of dreams, even the greatest landmarks can vanish, sometimes in the blink of an eye. Thank you for taking this deep dive into Hollywood's vanished mansions. If these stories left you with a sense of awe or even outrage about how swiftly the past can be wiped away, remember that curiosity is one of our best tools for preservation. We may not be able to save every piece of history, but by remembering and sharing these tales, we keep their spirits alive for future generations. And who knows, maybe one day the love for these old gems will outlast the desire to demolish them. Until then, the saga of Hollywood's most iconic homes remains an ever-evolving story, one that's still being written with every swing of the wrecking ball. Have a good day and hit the follow button for more. God's bless.